Well, this update happens to be the 2-year anniversary of building the layout. First year, I pretty much built the bench work and laid some track. And then all of that summer, I just kind of kept laying track until I got up into Clifftop here. And I laid the line that came down in here so I could get to the tipple. And I got all this in operation, as you saw from the updates, if you watched those. But there was things I just wasn't happy with. And I know I said back then I wasn't going to make any track changes. But I couldn't wait any longer, so I did do the track changes. Number one thing was removing the curve turnout that was right here. You can see this is not screwed down, but these marks here on the joist here were where the main line used to come down. When I was doing the spline roadbed, I measured on the plan from the edge of the layout in where the track center line was, and I drove long, like 3-inch long screws down in here, and that's what I clamped the splines to as I came down in here. So I did follow the plan, but what I realized is that I didn't like the way the line came in. You can see it came in right here, and then it came and followed this curve around, and it just didn't look right in front of this tipple, and it just bothered me so bad that I couldn't wait to tear this out. Matter of fact, when I finally said, enough is enough, I just came over here and first thing I did was tear out that curved turnout and then cut the roadbed right here. And then I cut it all the way up, to the other side of the backdrop and cut it off right up here. And so right here, you can see the lap joint that I made on top of the spline here. I had to fill it up a little bit because I cut it a tiny bit too deep. Which was better than cutting it too shallow because I wanted to make sure I could level this. So I just kept shimming that up until it got level, poured a ton of glue on it and weighted it down. And then you can see here's the plywood sub road bed that I ran through there, which the homo sewed this is the plywood sub road bed. This is just a shim to kind of bring it up. So I got a half, and a half. That gave me the 1.5 inches that this is right here. And this piece only goes to right here, this bottom one here, and then the 1/2-inch sub roadbed and 1/2-inch homo sew, it then actually starts to grade down right around here. Now, when I had it spline, it didn't start the grade down till way over here. So I actually got a little bit better of a transition from here down the hill there, which eased this grade a little bit. The other thing I did that I didn't think of at the time is you can see I carved in a little groove in there that I laid another piece of steel wire in. When I originally was going to build this, there was going to be no grade there. I was going to have Clifftop be as tall as this area here, but the depth at Clifftop made this height too awkward. So that's why I dropped Clifftop down a couple inches. It actually is, I think, almost 2.5 inches lower over here. So the new roadbed here, I made out of 1/2-inch plywood, which I don't normally do. If I were to do plywood, I like 3/4, but using the 1/2-inch allowed me, like I said earlier, to start dropping that grade sooner and then cross the edge up there even lower than when I had the homo sewed. So that's why this is real flat through here now. There's not nearly as much grade as there used to be in there. You can kind of see it's barely got any, and it's been a lot nicer. The other thing is that you can see where the track, so you can see the X right there where the track came wider out there and it came at a sharper angle here. And what it did is it caused this turnout to be, which was up here a little bit, it was a Y. So I had this line that came in and then the coal mine came off this way and it made almost a perfect Y here. But what I found is because now this was on a grade, when I was pulling the coal trains up, it seemed like the front wheels on the Shay were lighter. The torque of the wheel kind of biting in this way caused the truck to kind of have more force on the back end. I think both trucks are kind of doing that. And every now and then a truck would skip the frog. It wanted to go straight because the frog was curved right there. But now this turnout is straight through. And even if it is lifting a little bit, it'll just kind of go straight through without a problem. And I haven't had a problem yet. If we come down here, I also cut the piece out here that used to go, this line used to go straight that way, and then there's a short little turnout that jumped over there, and I never liked it. It was too snaky through here. This was only one engine length, which is, I knew going into that that's all it was, but my only goal was to be able to get an engine on the backside of the car shop here, because so many of the photos I've seen of the car shop, they would service, a locomotive out here, and I wanted to be able to pull one in there and spot it there, while I wasn't using it. But the track just didn't look right in there. I didn't like the fact that it squarely ran into the backdrop, and I knew that it was going to be a scenery mess, and it just wasn't working out. So I cut it out, made it swing now around here, and it goes down behind the strip tipple there, which is covered up with a tarp, and it ends somewhere down over here. And what's nice about that is it's long enough now that when you pull in here, you don't have to be precise about where you stop. You can actually have more cars in here too if you want to put, maybe 6 or 8 cars in here. They'll all fit in this track here. I'll probably put a occupancy detector over there so I'll know when I hit the end, because I can't see it. And I'm going to make the scenery kind of come down in here and then sort of hide that this is going, that way. I'll see if I can kind of plant the tree so it looks more like it goes that way, maybe even possibly curving that way. It's not the prototype arrangement, but it's going to be better than what I had. It also allowed me to put the engine house, which is facing the right way, and that is the prototype length. Just the very back corner is kind of truncated there, but the roof isn't. So when I put a roof on there, it'll look like a full roof structure. It won't have like a weird angle cut in the roof. And, it's not long enough to put a locomotive out there, but I'm not worried about spotting locomotives. I don't even really think that would be used during an operating session. I just wanted the ability to have it. Now, it was kind of there on the prototype. It just would have been on the other side of the stream and kind of facing a little bit different angle in there. But at least I have it, and I also get to keep the company store, which is obviously, if you've been there, is in a totally wrong spot, because it would have been over there. But, this is where I can put it. So the changes here I really like, and I am done making changes up here. Except for one more thing. You can see right here, maybe you can't see, but there used to be a turnout right here. And I cut the roadbed off here. This used to go out and come back and go into the strip tipple. Back when I thought that I would want a longer kind of straight track in front of the tipple, I was kind of trying to recreate a photograph, but there were so many changes up here anyways that having that be straight for a long distance wasn't worth the congestion it was going to cause in tracks here. Because now that I've added 3 tracks, I don't have the ties glued down for this one yet, but there'll be this track, then these tracks, then there would have been a track right down the middle here, then this track, then this track. It just was too many tracks for the area. And so by taking this and cutting this out, it leaves a gap here, so your eye kind of sees this group of tracks and it sees that group, but it doesn't see this long continuous piece of tracks in there. And I'll be able to put some scenery in here, trees and shrubage of some kind, keeping it low enough that I can see the points for both this turnout. There's the location of the points will be on that one right there, and then that one there. And then the scenery will start to come up, and hopefully I get it enough where you can, if you bag something there, you'll just be able to see a little bit of it and then see the points there. I think I can make all that work out, and I think it'll be a lot better than what was there. So I'm going to be excited to get this in and get that done and get back onto schedule, which is over in Landisburg, working over there, which no changes have happened in Landisburg since the last update, so we don't even need to go look over there. Part of that track change in Clifftop required me to cut this access hole here, which I'll put a plate over that. But this is behind Clifftop. That's actually the back of the strip tipple there. And right here on the other side, this is that track right here that now will be a stub track back then. I just knew that if I had problems, I wasn't going to be reaching over the top of the strip tipple up there. So I figured I'd just cut this, and I'll fill this in here with some 2x2s, leaving a small flange on here, and I'll just magnetically attach the cover over here in case there's ever a problem up there. I can just pop it off and get back in here and reach in and grab stuff. I just figured that was a wise move to do now than to try to deal with sticking my hand in, from the other end and all the way down there. One other fun project I've been working on is I've been installing squealers, and I've been doing them over on the grade, going up from the switchback up here all the way up, and then I'm going to do them going down in here too. And the way I've been kind of doing it is I'm actually testing to see what it sounds like with multiple squealers. I'm kind of thinking that I'd like to have at least 2 or 3 per sharp corner. So for example, there might be 1 here and then maybe 2 on that, but as it gets really tight, I might put another, maybe 1 there and 1 there. And then this corner is probably the more sharp one up here, so I might put 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. And then down here, maybe starting here, put a couple, and then maybe another one over here somewhere. It'd be really fun to get one right on that bridge, but I'd have to unsolder the sensor and run some wires in there and then solder the sensor back onto the circuit board, which I'm not against doing. Matter of fact, I might try doing that on a spot up here. So here you can see the first squealer I installed. It's right here. I actually started drilling a hole there, and I forgot I had that metal rod running down there. I broke the drill bit off right in there, so I came back here and offset the hole. It still works good. There it goes. So the way this thing goes is not every time it goes over it, it plays a sound. There's like blank files in there to make some variety in there. Anyways, so I have 1 in there now. Right now I just have the speaker hung over there. I've extended the wires to go down below this level and on the bottom of the lower level so I can get at it. But I think I'm going to put another one in right here to test to see if 2 makes a difference. And, maybe another one I'll do down here. I can't really go higher than this one here because when I get to this part where the pink foam is, it's actually up on top of the concrete block, and there's not enough space under the roadbed to put that tall little PC board that they have the sensor attached to. If I want to put one here, I'll also have to unsolder the sensor from the board and then run wires and reattach it, which again, I'm not against doing. I'll probably try it on 1 at least to see how bad it is. Probably one of the big things that happened in this last year, on the second year here, is that I managed to make all the Mans Creek shays. And so here you can see shay 2, which was actually the first successful shay. Even though I had shay 8 done first, I wasn't happy with the way it ran, so I made shay 2 and kind of worked the bugs out on that one, applied those changes, and made shay 5 here. And that one worked out so well. I was so enthused that I went back and almost completely disassembled and rebuilt more than 50% of shay 8. And now shay 8 is just a really good running engine. I may be having an issue with the decoder. It does some strange things that these 2 don't do. They all have the same decoder in them. And it does. It has a weird buzzing thing. So I have a spare decoder I'm going to put in there and see if it still does it. Then I'll know it's not the decoder and it's the Locomotive. But that was a really big accomplishment for this year. And of course, the other really big accomplishment was getting the unloading trestle into a point where it's functional. Now it's got a long ways to go before it looks like anything. It's going to need the railings put on it and the sheds put on it, and I still have to add the chute down for that one, and I got to build the bridge here and finish this tank car down here, and it's just a lot of scenery work. But the main goal was to get this operational, so when the layout does start to operate, at least we can use it. I still have some temporary little shields stuck in here to get the coal to not go off the ends, but it's completely functional. It works really good, just like the original one did. It's really fun being able to now load a train and come down here and unload it. So that was another major accomplishment to move this forward. And if you saw the last update, you know the story about the 3D printed cars. Now that the layout's kind of starting to get more and more tracks in, and I start to think about getting it operating, which is the original intent of the whole layout, I realized I was going to have a really big car shortage. And in order to scratch build 20, 30 cars, it could be years before I have enough cars. So I designed these kind of quick and dirty 3D printed cars. These are the log cars. I also have some flat cars that I built. And the log cars and the flat cars are really the bulk of the operation for the logging area. I have enough coal cars to get that going, and then there's enough random other cars I can put in from when I had a fictional ON3 layout. And they could be good placeholders, but these log cars are kind of a fun project because I originally did them thinking nothing much of them, and then they looked pretty good. And I built one, and I thought, how could I make it look good, even though there's no grain on it? And so what I did is I purchased one of those AK interactive wood painting sets. This one happens to be volume 2, which is cool wood tones. And I just used every single paint in the kit, and I just randomly brushed paint on these things. And, if you got up really close, it probably doesn't look like wood. I don't know if I can get that to focus, but from this far away, it actually is very passable. And then I started experimenting with taking steel wire, and I put epoxy putty on it and then carving in bark texture. Now, I think that on the prototype, they didn't have bark on those. These are called sway poles. I think they were actually barkless, or at least they maybe started out with bark, and then by wrapping chains around and beating them up with logs, I'm sure that the bark got knocked off them. But it's kind of been fun making them look like logs, because it's no doubt that that's what they're supposed to be. Now, the original cars I had here had those holes in it to stick these sway poles in. I just kind of press them in there. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of redesign the car. So this is the redesign of the car. And really all I did was I made the hole looks more like the prototype. It's kind of a square hole, not a round hole, and it goes all the way through. These don't have the holes going all the way through because I didn't really intend these to be detailed models. But I thought it'd be fun to at least add those because, there might be a chance of these sticking around. I don't know. Maybe I'll never get around to building the wood cars if these work out so well and look good on the layout. But that was another kind of fun thing. I think I got all my cars now printed for a log train. I'll get these together. It's a lot of work kind of painting these things. This part goes fast, the wood, but it's painting all the little metal parts on here. And then when I do the trucks, I try to paint them to look like wood too. And I got to paint all the little pieces in there, and then this weathering. And when I make the wheel sets, I use my technique to make these wheels. And it takes a while. I've got enough in here to last me a while, but it still takes some time. Not nearly as much as scratch building, but I'll get this done and then get some flat cars done. I think I want to get about 12 flat cars made. And then we can probably do a lot for a long time with just those cars. So, thank you for watching all these videos. It's been a fun 2 years. It's been a hard 2 years. I've worked way more than I should have trying to get the layout up to this point. Kind of want to slow down a little bit and now to start building more models and getting some scenery in and just fine tuning everything. And my goal is, again, by next fall to actually start doing some operating. But there's a lot of little things, little wiring things and all kinds of small stuff that's probably not going to be all that visible. So thanks again, and happy anniversary to the layout.